Ask Reddit what's the closest you've been to death. Fell off a cliff into a construction zone. Broke my back, femur, ribs, wrist, clavicle, and smashed my skull. Also had a piece of rebar impaled through my leg. Got airlifted out, had many surgeries including craniectomy, and was in a coma for 2 days. Definitely towed the line with the whole life or death thing. How was the coma experience? I don't remember much of anything. It's like a 2 or 3 day gap in my memory. I remember setting out on my hike that morning. Then I remember paramedics standing over me and asking questions. Then I remember being moved in a vehicle. Then I have a vague feeling of hearing people talking in the distance. This is from when I was in the coma, I think. Then I woke up confused and a nurse explained things to me. It's a really weird experience to think about. In August 2023, I was feeling exhausted and just thought it was from an excessive heat wave. I eventually checked myself into there because I could hardly walk, and I stated to notice blood in my stool. Come to find out I was in an anemic state, and my blood level was around 5.0. Turns out I had a gastrointestinal tumor on my lower intestine that was causing bleeding. Who knows what would have happened if I ignored it. Drunk out of my mind for months after my wife cheated on me and left, I entered a strange state of psychosis. I made plans involving a train track. I nearly did it. Short story, I would have regretted it. Life isn't all that much better, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse for my loved ones. One day at a time. When I was 8, I fell out of a 55-foot tree, hit no branches on the way down, landing on heavily compacted dirt being prepped for concrete. Landed on the back of my neck. Couldn't breathe, couldn't feel anything. And my vision started fading quickly. I literally thought I died. After about 2 hours, I could finally move and see again. Had major neurological issues ever since. Like arm pain that's actually coming from my foot. And I was riding a motorcycle, doing around 45 to 50 miles per hour along a major street in Austin that had a median. It wasn't much past sunset, but street lighting was excellent and my headlamp was on bright. As I passed a strip mall, the driver in the car that was sitting patiently to turn into the street decided to turn left in front of me. He simply didn't see me, and when he did, his eyes got really wide and he hit the brakes. This left his car directly in front of me. I was 20 years old, so I actually had the reflexes to manage this. For about 1,000th of a second, I considered putting the bike down, but instead I severely swerved left, hoping to clear his front bumper. As I crossed in front of him, I looked down and saw my foot pedal clear past by about the width of my foot, at around 45 miles per hour. This put me on the wrong side of the median, but fortunately, there was no opposing traffic. I reached the next break, crossed back over, and then pulled off to the nearest parking lot. Got off from the bike, sat down, and shook uncontrollably for a while from the adrenaline. Sold that bike the following week, and have never ridden a motorcycle since. Got pulled into a rip current last year. Thought I was a strong swimmer up to that moment, but struggled to swim parallel to shore. I was close enough to shore that I could touch the bottom, but current kept pulling the sand out from under me. Getting hit by waves. Was yelling for help, but no one could hear me. Was terrifying. My brother, 28, almost got taken out by this exactly. He said he swam underwater and began clutching and pulling the sand underneath. He stated it was the only thing ensuring he was moving forward as long as he could hold his breath and make decent enough ground before coming back up. Yeah, anytime I could feel the bottom slipping out from under me was when I'd start to panic. I couldn't get traction. So then I tried to swim parallel, then grab the bottom with my feet and almost try to run before I felt it pull me out again. Once I got to a depth where the waves weren't pummeling me, I felt a little less panicked and eventually was able to get out of it. I FOD'd in May of 2012. I'd just done my first jail stay, 78 days. I made it 56 hours after getting released. I was 23 years old and roughly 6 years into my opiate addiction, heroin being doc. I was less than a year into my 4 drug use though. I was with 2 friends, both females. The driver was on pretty strict felony probation, and was afraid her PO would somehow find out about all of this and got paranoid. If it would have been solely up to her, I would have been rolled into a ditch. The other girl I was with convinced her to drop me off at the emergency. Instead of dropping me off at the door, they put me on the side of the building. When I regained consciousness, I was surrounded by 9 medical professionals. Only one of those people's faces still shows in my mind, though. The nurse standing to the left of me, she was the first person I saw. She had a life support tube in her right hand, and I watched her eyes fill up with tears as she said to me, "Sweetie, you have a purpose here on earth, please see your worth." And I was proceeded to be told I was administered 4 doses of Narcan and I had flatlined for 13 minutes. The only reason I received medical attention is because of a homeless man who found me on the side of the building. None of it makes sense to me. I have the records from that incident, hoping those would help me understand why I'm still here today. I just celebrated 8 years in recovery from drugs and alcohol. I may never understand why I was given another chance. I've had way more than just that incident. I'll forever be grateful for this life of mine today, though. I have always wanted to be able to meet the person who found me and helped save my life that day. So glad someone found you, and that is a wise nurse, as you obviously have a purpose. I lost a good friend I had lost touch with to a heroin OD. His sister told me the guys he was with left him to die, while they continued to party in an abandoned flophouse. Someone found him a couple days later. It has really screwed her up, and unfortunately, last I heard, she turned to meth to cope with it. Haven't heard from her in 3 years. It's so sad what drugs have done to people. I almost drowned on a holiday visit to the beach. Water got very rough very fast. There was a point I kind of accepted my fate as I started inhaling water, but my body just took over and I somehow swam out to shore. Sadly, my dad wasn't so lucky. Please be extra careful at the beach or pools or wherever. Worst day of my life. Downed a bottle of Benadryl. I could feel a pull, my entire soul, deep into my body, down towards the earth. After a while, I heard my grandmother's voice saying, "They need you," and I called an ambulance. Someone pulled a gun out on me when I was younger. I ran away. He didn't shoot, guess he was trying to be tough. But crazy thing is, I got done playing basketball and was about to go to a friend's house to play the game. That day changed my whole perspective on life. I pray no kid has to go through anything involving gun violence, yet it happens so much it's sad. Road trip with an ex and couple of good friends in my dad's car. I'd driven the car to the destination with one hand being broken from a sports-related injury and me wearing a cast. Ex wanted to drive us home, so I fell asleep in the back seat with no seatbelt on. Woke up hearing screams and feeling dizzy, plus my broken hand was just killing me at that point. Opened my eyes and saw everything around me smashed to bits. No windows, roof collapsed, couldn't open the door, and weird silence around us. Cast was broken due to me hitting the window. Luckily, my hand took the bigger hit than my head on that window. We rolled 5 times, 3x on the tarmac, and once fully airborne. This all according to witnesses of the crash. Craziest part of all is that no one got seriously injured. Whiplashes and small cuts cause of the flying glass. I broke my hand a bit better and sprained my ankle and back. What a ridiculous injury compared the situation we landed in. Wear your seatbelt, people. What's the closest you've been to dying? Feel free to share in the comments below. Please consider subscribing and liking for more daily uploads.